wake 'em up. Hi, how's it going? It's me, Julio. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Rescue and Revive Crusade 2021. So Rescue and Revive is started by founder Domenico Danisi and from Rochester, New York. And every year he goes out with different men, and what he does is he goes to college campuses and marketplaces and he's preaching the gospel. So that's what we're doing. So preaching the gospel looks like this. It'll be giving out gospel tracts. We'll have big signs that talk about Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, or different things like that. Also, there's open air preaching, and we're speaking to people one-to-one. In this video, I'm going to focus on my perspective on how this was for Rescue and Revive and me leading one of the teams. So this consists of 11 men, and there were 2 teams. So I'm just going to be talking to perspective again about my team. There's a lot of driving involved. We're going here and going to these college campuses. So the places we went to was Western Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio State. So as you could imagine, there was a lot of driving involved. Each college campus we went to also, we spent about 4 or 5 hours at each campus. And so with me on 2 of those dates were 5 guys. There was 5 other men with me, and I had the privilege to lead them and encourage them, and we encourage each other to share the gospel in the ways that I already said, with the signs and speaking people one-to-one. And then on the third day, we went to Ohio State, and it was all 11 of us following the leadership of Domenico Danisi, and we were there. People were coming into a football game on a Saturday, and there were many people, thousands of people, and we were able again to have our signs, open air preaching, and speaking the gospel to them. So it was a really, really great time. So some of the bad situations that happened, before I talk about the good conversations, is one thing was that really shocked me was that many people who used to go to church, what they said was that when I asked them, how is it that one is saved? How does one know that when they die, they're good enough or they're going to be able to go to heaven? And the number 2 answer was that they didn't know. And so this is really shocking, church, but many people that used to go to church and don't really go anymore, they don't have a clue. They don't understand that. And that's even in Rochester when I have conversations with them. The first answer is that they would say is that being a good person, which is another one that is like, wow. And it's sad because they just don't know the gospel message. The gospel is the life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. He became sin on the cross to make us right of our sin with a holy God. He makes us right with God. And then when we put our faith and trust in Jesus, now we honor him and we live for him with our lives. And that's the proper way is for us to be able to explain the gospel in short. Now, there were some situations. One guy, he looked at me. He was serious. He was like 50, 60 years old. And he says, look, I don't like what you guys are doing here. You guys shouldn't be here and stuff like that. And I just looked at him and I said, sir, listen. I said, we have a right to be here. We have freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and we have permission to be on the sidewalk. And then he looked at me and he was upset, and he says, and I have the right to tell you this. He says, you're going to hell. And I looked at him and I was a little bothered. And I said, sir, I have the right to tell you this. If you don't accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior for the forgiveness of your sin, you're already going to hell now. And then with that, he just went off. A lot of people too, they said, look, I'm Jewish, meaning that they don't need Jesus. They don't need the God of the New Testament. And I looked at them and said, that's great. Jesus is Jewish. And then there were other people. One guy came up to one of the guys holding a sign, and he says, hey, look, I'm gay. Does that mean that I'm going to hell? And I looked at him and I said, sir, gay means happy. And he goes, oh, well, okay, wait, I'm homosexual. And then I said, sir, well, according to the Bible, to practice homosexual is like other sins, like lying and stealing and so forth. Yeah, anyone who practices these sins will go to hell. And he stood quiet and he walked away. So that's more of the bad situations that happened. But overall, many people were very receptive, very respectful. The bad parts will probably be 10%. And the respectful part would probably be like 90, in my opinion. Many people took our tracks. Many people, they either said nothing or they said, oh, that's great that you guys are here. as far as the signs and the worship going on. And then many cases where I had a situation of me just speaking the gospel one-to-one, many of those conversations were very, very beneficial. I mean, it was very respectful conversations, even if we disagreed. So the good conversations, some of them that I really loved was, I was able to get to know the person a little bit that I was speaking to. And then also when I talked about eternal matters of what happens when we die, or where do we go when we die, the person either had no clue or they would tell me their point of view. And then in turn, I would tell them what the Bible teaches, why I believe the Bible, and so I would talk to them about Jesus Christ, and they were actually very receptive. And a lot of times too, most of the time, they said this is the first time they heard the gospel. Again, I said the gospel previously, the life, death, resurrection of Jesus, us putting our faith and trust in Jesus, and our lives changing. So that's what happened. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us, and God bless you, and have a good day. See ya. Bye.